She's back. Caitlin Clark puts on a masterclass as Team USA slaughters Senegal in the FIBA World Cup qual.
For the first time in 8 months, Caitlin Clark just returned to a basketball court. And within minutes of checking in, she had already shifted the entire rhythm of the game. 12 assists, a double-double, and a three-pointer off the bench against a squad that had no defense against her from the start. Do you think the coaching staff has a valid justification to keep Clark out of the starting lineup moving forward after seeing her score 17 points and dish out 12 assists in her first game back? This discussion needs to take place, so please share your thoughts in the comments.
Is not a starter. I knew once she stepped onto that court, she would be giving everyone the business. Kara Lawson, who's actually the coach for Team USA, was quoted as saying, "We talked about this with our players. The starting lineup is going to change. The rotations are going to change. As a coach, I'm in fact-finding mode, trying to find some chemistry in what combinations fit together." And Kara Lawson is actually the coach for Duke. The other day, they just beat Louisville in overtime to take the AAC tournament, so she was kind of late to USA training.
Instead of merely celebrating with highlight clips and emojis, let's have a genuine discussion about what happened in Puerto Rico. It had been 8 months since Caitlin Clark had participated in a competitive basketball game. 8 months away from the court. 8 months of observing from the sidelines, recovering, waiting, and remaining prepared for an event that no one could predict with certainty. In the days leading up to the game, she had openly admitted that she was anxious about making her Team USA debut, that she had butterflies, that it was difficult for her to return to competition after such a lengthy absence, and that there was a lot of pressure on every move she made.
Many have been waiting for. Caitlin Clark made her debut back on the court, has not played basketball since July. She had mentioned being very nervous, having butterflies about getting back on that court, but boy oh boy, she did not miss a beat. She looked fluid. She was aware of everything, head on a swivel.
Then, in the FIA Women's Basketball World Cup qualifying match against Senegal, she entered off the bench. She had taken over the entire game in less time than it takes to finish a cup of coffee. First shots are important, so let's start with that. Everyone is looking to observe how the rust appears, how hesitancy feels, and how confidence reads when a player returns after a prolonged hiatus and makes their first try. After catching a handoff and getting the ball off a screen, Clark made a three-pointer. Because that's what her shot does, it went in even if it hit a little more rim than her cleanest makes do. It ends up in the bottom of the net even if it is imperfect. And 8 months of absence vanished in an instant. The GOAT had returned. Clark recorded an assist in the first minute of playing by setting up Monique Billings for a fast bucket. The three then arrived. The game appeared entirely different to her after that than it had before her check-in.
Which Chelsea Gray, what did she get? She got 3 points today. She had 1 assist. Yikes. She did not look good. Senegal actually got a few steals off of Chelsea Gray. Senegal actually got their first points off of a Chelsea Gray steal that turned into a foul.
This is what the raw stat line is unable to adequately convey. Even so, the stat line alone is quite impressive. The rest of Team USA had a total of 12 assists at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Clark had 12 assists on her own. One player who provides as many assists as the rest of the team. It's not a coincidence. It wasn't a hot shooting night that resulted in a few more passes. That player was running the offense, managing the tempo, seeing the open player before the defense could react, and doing it all with a level of effortless efficiency you wouldn't expect from someone who had been off the court for 8 months. In her first competitive game back against a Senegal squad that was aggressively attempting to take her out of the game, she finished with 17 points and 12 assists, including a double-double off the bench. They were trying to compel her to make snap judgments before she could establish her rhythm by blitzing her early and sending 2 defenders at her each time she touched the ball. Senegal finally stopped blitzing Clark because she simply scores when you stop blitzing her. Clark responded to the blitz by always finding the open player and escaping it neatly. They were forced to choose between 2 terrible possibilities, and she punished them for their choice.
Double-double on Team USA was none other than Caitlin Clark. 17 points and 12 assists. At the start of the fourth quarter, the rest of the team had 12 assists.
At the time, there were some questions about the coaching staff's choice to start Chelsea Gray instead of Clark. Those eyebrows had risen considerably by the end of the game. Gray ended with 1 assist and 3 points. Gray's steal gave Segal their first points of the match. Together, the starters appeared disorganized and careless. After that, Team USA performed a 5-person rotation, switching out all 5 starters at once. When Clark entered the game, the crowd's response revealed just whose name the people in that building had come to hear. Then the game's tempo abruptly shifted. Not gradually, not after a few adjustments. The offensive established a rhythm right away. The passes began to link. The person who had been sitting on the bench for the opening few minutes of the game was the one who made all of the better decisions. As she determines the chemistry and combinations that work best for this club, Coach Carol Lawson has publicly said that the starting lineup will fluctuate. That's a tactful approach to acknowledge what everyone who watched the game already knew. For this team, Clark is not a bench player. The point guard is her. The engine is her. Within minutes of checking in, she is the one who completely alters the tone and tempo of a game. The final piece of evidence that anyone needs is the fact that she came off the bench after 8 months off the court and produced a double-double. Since Clark's performance as an individual is outstanding, let's now discuss the relationships that are emerging. But when the competition becomes tougher, this team will be truly dangerous because of the combinations she is creating with particular teammates. Beyond Clark's individual stats, the relationship between Clark and Ryan Howard was perhaps the most thrilling aspect of this game. In the end, Howard scored 21 points, pulled down 5 rebounds, and made 6 of 8 three-pointers. From the moment Clark began to discover her, she was completely enamored. And that link is so effective for a certain reason. Without the ball, Howard moves. She doesn't need further dribbles to get comfortable because she catches cleanly and shoots fast off the catch. Because Clark's passes arrive early, in rhythm, and in position for an instant shot, that is precisely the type of player who flourishes when Clark is responsible for the offense. Almost from the moment they took the floor together, the two of them were reading each other. The outcomes were clearly visible. Paige Bueckers had a positive, although somewhat subdued, outing. 3 assists, 4 rebounds, and 9 points in 14 minutes. She had a lovely appearance. Additionally, she appeared to be adjusting to the team atmosphere and the unique challenges of competing internationally with players she had never played with in a long time. That's not a critique. For someone like her, the opening match of a qualifying tournament looks like that. The potential for the Clark and Buecker combination is very immense, and just because Buecker struggles in a game doesn't mean that the excitement should be cut off. It's also important to keep a close eye on the relationship between Clark and Angel Reese. When Reese's LSU team defeated Clark's Iowa team in the national championship, it became one of the most talked about moments in women's collegiate basketball history. This is not the only uncomfortable history between these two. Since then, their shared professional league status has sparked more discussion, controversy, and outcry than perhaps any other women's sports narrative. However, Reese was converting on this Team USA court as Clark found her, passed to her, and set her up for buckets. In this game, Clark's precisely placed pass to Reese through traffic, which put Reese in position to finish, is just the kind of moment that improves both players at the same time. Clark's passing simplifies Reese's attacking game. Clark has more possessions to work with thanks to Reese's physicality and rebounds. It makes sense for them to work together in basketball. Additionally, the discussion surrounding their dynamic will change in a way that neither of their most ardent supporters on either side will have anticipated if they truly establish a genuine on-court connection during this qualification. The FEA statistic that was released following the game is noteworthy because it places Clark's performance in a historical perspective that extends beyond this particular tournament. In the history of the FIA Women's World Cup qualifying tournament, she recorded the second highest number of assists in a single game. That isn't a personal or Team USA record for Clark. In the qualifying tournament's own history, that is an all-time record. After 8 months away from competition, she played her first game at this level off the bench against a blitzing defense that was particularly built to stop her from accomplishing precisely what she did. The level of competition was not very high versus Segal. Everyone involved has admitted that neither Clark nor this USA team was put to the ultimate test in this game. Segal is not the type of opponent that distinguishes excellent teams from mediocre ones. To give you an idea of the competitive difference, Brazil had already defeated Senegal, and the Indiana Fever had previously destroyed Brazil in an exhibition. As the qualifying progresses, Puerto Rico, Italy, and Spain will be the team's true tests. Here's why. Despite less intense competition, the Senegal game is still important. The way Clark recovered from her 8-month absence from the court, her self-assurance, her efficiency, her instant control over the tempo, and her double-double in her first game back are all independent of the opponent. In a competitive setting, that degree of ease and control cannot be faked. Either you have it or you don't. And Clark appeared to be the greatest player in the building as soon as she returned to the court following the longest break of her career. All of this is happening concurrently with the CBA scenario, which is crucial to the future. The WNBA and WNBPA have been negotiating for days, with discussions lasting into a second day and 12-hour sessions yielding no final agreement. Clark has stated in public that the participants only need to enter a room and complete the task at hand. It is crucial to finish this as soon as possible because of what she recently demonstrated in Puerto Rico. The rest of the WNBA is truly terrified of a fit, driven, and competitive Caitlin Clark after 8 months off. The regular season is postponed, and that version of Clark is delayed every day the CBA drags on. The qualifying round is still ongoing. Next are Spain, Italy, New Zealand, and Puerto Rico. In 7 days, 5 games. Additionally, Clark appears to have not been absent for 8 months at all. She seemed to have spent those 8 months honing every facet of her game, especially for this occasion. 12 assists, 17 points, and a double-double off the bench. In her first return game, everyone in the audience kept yelling, "The GOAT is very much back." After being absent for 8 months, Caitlin Clark returned right away with a double-double off the bench that included 12 assists, more than the team as a whole. Within minutes of checking in, she altered the game's tempo. The qualification has just begun. Click like and subscribe if you want to see every second of this develop.